Hi, my name is Jeannie, and this is the podcast Dreams to Reality. So, in this podcast, I will be discussing the reason why I wrote the book Dreams to Reality: The 4 Keys to Living the Life of Your Dreams, which is available on Amazon, by the way, and you can click on it, click on the link on the show notes below, and also go to my website www.homeofgenie.com. So I wrote the book and also decided to create this podcast because of my friends back home in my tiny island of Cebu. In 2012, so I met a group of people, and we were into goal setting, we were into mastermind, and we were into visualization, and just really trying to deliberately create the life that we really wanted. And I had so much great success with mine because I studied and read books, dozens of books, attended a lot of in-person seminars, and also a lot of online courses as well, a lot of YouTube, a lot of audiobooks and stuff. And I've just been reading on the subject on how to create your dreams from thought to reality. And I realized that there's actually steps or components or keys that really need to be fulfilled in order for one to truly create the life that they desire. And it's always going to be a work in progress. It's always going to be on a day-to-day basis, and it's sort of like a lifestyle for me. I mean, it's part of my life right now. Actually, I do it every day, and I'm slowly ticking off the boxes in my bucket list, and you would just be amazed how accurate and how exact it is, because I realized that the way our mind works and the way the universe works and the way reality works, it has its own principles that we really need to be aware of. Otherwise, it's really much harder for us to work with, achieving our goals. And I realized that I can distill it in 4 keys. And the 4 keys are clarity, clearing, subconscious reprogramming, and aligned action. So I'm going to discuss them one by one. So I realized that, I was able to write so many books. It's just amazing. Looking back, I'm like, how was I able to write 6 books? I think I'm on my way to my 7th book right now. And I publish exclusively on Amazon. And I also have several podcasts as well. I just realized, how did I do that? And I have a full-time job on top of that. And also I was able to manifest and also create into reality a lot of things, like specific things. I think one of the more specific things was Weekend with Oprah. That was really specific, literally. And I didn't even know how it was going to come true, but it did. Also being able to see Obama in person. He was just in a convoy, but then I was at the right place at the right time. And a lot of things that you would think are very synchronistic or just coincidence, but it's really not, because it's just you're working with the laws of life, the laws of the universe. Actually, the universe has its own inner workings and principles that we really need to be aware of in order for us to work with them. And our mind as well. Our mind is so powerful, it actually creates coincidences, if you'd like to call them, but they're not. It's literally deliberate creation, using the power of your mind, of your subconscious mind. And I realized my friends back home in my tiny island of Cebu, they're still using a lot of techniques and doing a lot of things, taking a lot of action, but not really getting the results that they wanted. And I realized, how can I help them How can I explain to them what the process is? Having tried this so many times and experimenting on it, so I distilled it on 4 keys. So the first one is clarity. So that's the most important one. You really have to be clear on what you really want. And I write about it on my book, and I'm also going to be creating a course as well, because it's a really long topic, and to say that you can explain all of that in a book, it's really hard, because there's a lot of things that needs to be mentioned and expressed. So clarity is actually one of the first and the most important key. And sometimes when you're clear, that's already enough for you to be able to create your goals from your thoughts to reality. So just being clear. So when I say clear, what does it mean? It means being clear of what you really want, writing down the exact qualities, characteristics, everything that you really want to have in this reality, from your thought to this physical reality. So it starts with that clarity. And I've always used this, and I'm gonna actually create a separate podcast for that. It's one of my favorite books, Michael Lozier's Law of Attraction book. That's the best. It has that there's a technique there, or a method he uses that really makes you clear on what you really want. And basically what you do is, if you're not clear on what you want, you first list down what you don't want. Like, let's say right now you don't like your job, you don't like the pay. So the opposite of that would be what you really want. So you're just shifting your attention from what you don't want to what you do want in life. And I use this all the time. And also, to be clear on what you want, you really need to know where you are right now. Because actually, clarity is very important. If you don't know where you are right now, you don't know how you'll get to your destination. Because if you have used a GPS device, there's a go-to and a location. Where did you start from? Where do you want to go to? You cannot calculate how the days or the hours or the miles if you don't know your current location, current setting right now. And that's very important. So that's part of clarity. You have to be clear, where are you right now and where do you want to be? That's really important. And sometimes when you get all of that aligned and written down, that's already enough for you to create your thoughts and take action and create them into this physical plane. And that's really great. But most of the time, though, I think there's other steps that you need to do that would really, really help. So clarity. Another way you can gain clarity is by writing down the qualities, characteristics of what you want. Let's say a job pays this much. It has to have a lot of maybe vacation leaves, gives you like accrued vacation leaves if you want, or pays you this much, or the boss is like this. So you can actually write it down. Write down what you really want, the qualities of what you're looking for. Let's say if you want to manifest, not really manifest, but you want to, I use the word manifest, but it's actually just a term of creating thoughts to reality, or making them, it's the bridge from your thoughts to reality. Anyway, not to complicate things. So let's say you want a car. So you write down, the qualities of the car. If you want an SUV, the color, the range of the color, the price range, and stuff like that. And then once you're clear on what you want, you can also go to why you want it. So this is really important sometimes, because a lot of people, they just like, oh, I want this, I want that. But in order for you to stop procrastinating, you really need to know your why. Why do you want that car? Is it for convenience? Is it for work? So it really, once you know your why, it becomes better, and you actually take more action if you know your why. And the next key is subconscious. Oh, not subconscious. That's the third key. Anyway, the next key is clearing. So clearing, what does clearing mean? So clearing basically means clearing resistance, clearing doubts, clearing anxiety, clearing fears, clearing negative emotions, clearing self-limiting beliefs. And this is going to be a work in progress. And this is always going to be part of the process, because we will always have doubts. Because let's say you want to have a new car, but then you can't afford it yet. So there's always going to be doubts. And the way you can clear it, and I use a lot of techniques to clear. I used to do the Sedona method, which is just sitting with the emotion and just allowing the emotion to rise and then disappear. Another clearing that I use is EFT, Emotional Freedom Technique, which is like tapping points in your face and your head and parts of your body to release emotions. You can do, if you're really very open-minded, you can do chakra clearing, clear the energy centers. If you believe in those things, you don't necessarily have to believe in those things. You can use them if it helps you. I also used emotional, it's called emotion code. Basically releasing emotions within your body and stuff like that. But what I really do and use right now is, of course, I meditate every day. That really helps. And I've been meditating for 14 years, so that helps. But what I really do consistently is I just feel the emotion, and I just have no judgment on the emotion. Because, when I doubt, I'm like, sometimes when we doubt something, we start to believe doubt, like that it's real. But sometimes when you come with no judgment and just feel the doubt and not resist the doubt, sometimes it even goes away by itself. And that's what I've been doing more and more. When doubt comes up, I just say, okay, I'm feeling doubt. I'm doubting that this thing exists. I'm doubting that I can create this. I'm doubting my abilities. It's okay. I'm not going to judge myself for doubting. And then sometimes, or most of the time, 99% of the time, when I just accept that I actually feel that and just feel it in my body wherever it is, it's amazing. It really works. It disappears. Because you're no longer resisting. So when I have fears, so I just tell myself, I do that self-talk, okay, this is just an emotion. This is temporary. I have fears and anxieties right now. Doesn't mean it's going to last forever. I'm just going to feel it and just observe it and feel it wherever it is in my body. And I'm not going to resist it. I'm just going to allow it to happen. So sometimes allowing is sort of a way to clear. When I say clear, you're clearing all the channels, so that your mind and your body and your emotions work together because they're clear. There's a lot of techniques out there. The thing is, it doesn't really matter what technique you use. What matters is that it works for you. So find a technique that works for you. It could be EFT. If you could do chakra balancing or whatever. You can do the Sedona method. You can do the emotion code. You can just feel into the emotion. There's various techniques that you can use, and that would be one of the keys that would help you. After you're clear, that would just pave the way for you to reprogram your subconscious mind. And this is the most important key, one of the most important. All four keys are important actually, but subconscious reprogramming is important in a way because that's the way, through repetition, just repeating something in your head, in your mind, visualizing something, it actually sets the ball rolling and makes you take action. And so what is the subconscious mind? So the subconscious mind is actually a part of our mind that is outside of our conscious reach. Basically, it means there's a part of our mind that remembers everything from birth until the present moment. So all of our memories, both pleasant, traumatic, and not so pleasant, or everything, every memory, every emotion, everything is stored in the subconscious mind. It just so happens that we don't really have conscious access of it. And sometimes a lot of it is hidden. And the subconscious mind is where the programs are stored. When I say programs, it's like your upbringing. Let's say you were brought up to believe that life is suffering, that life is hard, that life should be hard. So if that is ingrained in you from the moment you were like maybe 1 year old until like 10 years old or something, you will start to believe that, and you will really believe that, yeah, life is suffering, and this is just my life. I can't change anything. I can't change my life. And if you believe in fate and predestination, you believe that there's nothing you can do. You just have to accept your fate, and then you will create that because that's been programmed in you when you were young. And also, it doesn't have to be direct as well. It could be when what you experienced in childhood. Let's say you experienced that your parents were fighting a lot, and then they didn't have a happy marriage, so you grew up realizing or thinking that there's never going to be any happy marriages, and you can never be happy in a marriage, so maybe you'll get divorced later on, because that was all you knew, and that was your paradigm, that was your experience. But the thing is, there really is, and because the way our mind works and the way the universe works, it's just amazing that there's like systems in place that can actually create better possibilities for us that's outside of our conscious awareness and stuff. And that's how subconscious reprogramming becomes important, because we never, maybe more than 50%, I would like to say, didn't have ideal childhoods. So if you didn't have an ideal childhood, how can you have good programs, good beliefs installed in you if you never had that? So subconscious reprogramming just means through repetition, you can override the programs that were the negative programs or the negative beliefs that you had when you were growing up. So you can do that through a lot of techniques. And the thing that I use a lot is visualization. I use affirmations, instead of saying to yourself, like, I hate myself, you can override that and say, I love myself. And you can just, every time you have a thought that I can't do this, you remind yourself, I can do this, I can do anything. So that's part of subconscious reprogramming, because the subconscious mind, it works through repetition. And subconscious mind also works through visualization. Like, it's very graphic. That's how our subconscious mind works, through emotions and images. And it's literally like, I don't know, when you have a dream and stuff, that's how our conscious mind, when you remember your dream, that's you're consciously remembering images and impressions from your subconscious mind. So that's how the subconscious mind works, through images, through emotions, through impressions and stuff like that. And you can override that by doing vision boarding. What is vision boarding? So you literally create a vision for your life, and you put that in front of you. You can look at it every day. You can put it in your phone. So that's various ways that you can do it. My favorite, though, and which I use specifically on myself, is visualization, but it's a more targeted visualization, because I visualize the end goal or the end image. So let's say, so right now I'm targeting for more book sales. So I have an image of which I represent with an image, and I keep like looping that in my head. That's one way I do that. And another technique that I use is I became certified in this one. It's hypnosis. So the type of hypnosis I use is we clear and then we install beliefs. We install like new beliefs in, and also even like there's a lot of things that we use in the type of hypnosis that I use. We also like create like the future version of you through hypnosis. So basically hypnosis is a way to reprogram your mind, but it's like a more direct way and it's a faster way. So I use that. And one tool that I started using again, I am certified in Psyche, and I love it. And it's very specific too. It's like you can literally use, we call it like the whole brain integration, basically integrating your left brain and your right brain so that they work together. And then you can install beliefs, specific beliefs, like let's say you spend too much money, and you can like just install, I save my money, or I'm careful in spending my money. It really depends. There's a whole process that we do, and I've used it successfully since 2017, but I used other methods, but I went back to it again, and I've been using it. I'm still using it right now. My favorite though is, the visualization and the use of words along with visualization. Let's say I assign a keyword, let's say book sales. So I assign book sales to the end image of having more book sales, which I can represent with an image. Those things, there's a whole process, and I discussed it in my book. I wrote about it in my book, and I'm going to continue to discuss it in my podcast because it's a topic that's there's a lot of moving parts. And the more you just listen to my podcast, and if you read my book, and it's just going to make more sense. And the last one, of course, is aligned action. Because the bridge from our thoughts to this reality, to manifest into this reality, is taking action. But that's the thing though. As I mentioned, my friends back home, they take massive action, but it is not aligned action. So that's the important thing. It has to be aligned to your goal. So there again, we have to go back to, what is your end goal? What is it that you really want? Because if you're not clear about what you want, you're not gonna know which specific action to take. And when I say aligned action means you're doing something every single day, tiny, tiny baby steps that will lead you to your goal. Like in my case, I love to write, and I'm actually a writer. So I have to write every day. So I put it in, like every day I write something. And since I'm also podcasting at least once or twice a week, 3 times a week, I'm actually producing content. So that's the thing. Like that's part of aligned action. Part of aligned action as well is just visualizing every day your end goal. That's part of the aligned action. Also doing the clearing is part of the aligned action as well. Like clearing whenever doubt comes up. If you have anxiety and if you lack belief in yourself, you can clear yourself using various methods. That's part of aligned action. And another part of aligned action is taking the exact action that would lead you to the result that you want. Like, for example, in my case, I'm a writer of several books. So I wouldn't have had written several books, if I didn't take specific action, which is to actually write books. And part of my aligned action, of course, is to learn how to publish my books on Amazon, to learn how to write better, to learn how to market my books. So that's part of the aligned action. And the thing is, you can write down your action steps as well, so that it makes more sense for you. And part of aligned action is also just creating for the whole week and for the whole month specific actions that you can take on a daily basis. Because I really believe in taking action one step at a time. That's what I believe in. You take action a single step at a time, and that's how you get to your goal. Because that's how it really works. But then again, you have to go back to all of the keys, which is clarity, clearing, subconscious reprogramming, and aligned action. They really work together. Because if you're not clear what you want, if you don't have clarity, if you're not doing the clearing, which is you're not getting rid of the emotion, not really getting rid, but releasing the emotions such as doubt, procrastination can be cleared as well, because behind procrastination is our emotions like fear of success. There's also subconscious reprogramming, which is like if you have fear of success, you can also install, maybe through hypnosis, maybe through Psyche, maybe through visualization, install like a more confident you. So it's really wonderful that I'm able to just really distill it in the four keys, because that's really what's really important, is that because I know my friends have a lot of techniques, they know techniques, they do techniques, but they don't know why they're doing that, and that leads to confusion, and it just has to work together. It's like baking a cake. You have to have the flour. You have to have the egg. You can do an eggless cake, but just a traditional cake. And you have to, make the batter. You have to have a rising agent, all those things. So that's what I consider like the four keys, the four important keys. And, I also, like to mention, because, one of the reasons that people are afraid to go after their dreams is because they have so much fears and stuff, and fear is really a major factor, I think, and that's one of the things that you can actually clear. And I actually developed a method or a technique, which is, and it's also in my book, and it's part of the clearing work that you can do, which is, what's the worst that can happen? And I love this exercise because for years I was just fearing things, and I didn't allow myself to fear. I literally didn't. And I realized, what if I think about the worst thing that can happen? So what if this happens? Then what? So let's think of the worst thing that can happen. Let's say, okay, I can't write books because the worst thing is, let's say, I waste a lot of money. Okay, so if you waste a lot of money, what's wrong with that? Something like that. Because there's a lot of fears, especially when going after something. There's always going to be fears. But if you think about the worst thing that can happen, and then thinking about the solutions, like let's say this happens, then what? What can you do? Will you be okay? And when you've reached that point where, okay, the worst has happened. I have thought about the worst thing that can happen, but I was still able to come up with a solution, or at the end of it, I'm still okay. So, it actually helps relieve the fear. And this is a really wonderful method that I just recently discovered. I've been using it and I didn't know, I'm like, oh, I've been using it all the time, but I didn't really think of it as a way to clear fear, because I always think about oh my God, what if this happens? What's the worst that can happen? This happens. What's going to happen to me? And then I think of, okay, if this happens, maybe I can do A, B, C, or D. And then you have options. So you start realizing that, hey, actually, even if the worst thing can happen, I can still come up with a solution. And that's great. Yeah. So, I just really felt that I had to discuss the 4 keys more. And I'm going to send this podcast as well to my friends, because I really want to reiterate and just keep on reminding people that the techniques, of course, they matter, but you have to know why you're doing the techniques. Because my friends, they're all after the techniques, but they don't know why they're using the techniques or which part of when to use the technique. So this will hopefully help them. And hopefully the book as well will help other people. And the course which I'm working on, hopefully it will help even more people, because that's what I want to do. I really want to help people. I want to teach. I want to just, help people with their goal setting, because it was done to me with great success, because I was the worst procrastinator. And now look at me, I'm taking action. So if I can do it, anyone can do it. And thank you very much for listening to this podcast. Goodbye.